says starting event, but it's just, hi, welcome to the Spectacular Entrepreneur Show for July. And we are really happy to have you here. And this month, Mike and Eddie are here with me. So I am thrilled to have them both here with me this month. So it will be an even better show this month than last month. So guys, I am really glad to have you here.
Yes, our technological presence is here.
I know you both were with me in spirit last month, and I know it was all technical issues, so that's why they weren't here. But we do have Mike Macedonio and Eddie Esposito, who are actually co-founders and of the Ascentive program and Ascentive franchises around the country. My name is in the world, actually, and my name is Nanette Polito, and I am an Ascentive franchise owner here in Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky. And it is awesome to have all of you here with us today. We have a great show that we're going to be putting on, and we're going to really be talking about a topic that is called bad referrals. So what do you do when you get a bad referral? How do you handle them? And Mike and Eddie are going to be able to give you a lot of great material on that. So I think with that, I'm actually going to shut off my camera so you can't see me while they're presenting. If you guys want to say anything, and then we'll come back to you so you guys can get the full effect of the slideshow. Mike and Eddie, I turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Nanette. You know, this topic of bad referrals is a frequent one we have, particularly business owners that are fully invested in building their business by referrals, building it by relationship. And let's face it, building your business around relationships and referrals is very time consuming. So when in the end you start getting bad referrals, it can be a little bit disheartening. So the purpose of this show today is to talk about, what is a bad referral and what do we do about it? Eddie, before we get started, anything you'd like to share?
And this particular topic is pretty good in the sense that it makes you take a bigger picture look at yourself, at what you're doing, at what you're saying, what your message is. It's got that one little thing you say, I got a bad referral, makes you look a whole lot of different places to see what is behind it. So it makes you take a good look. It's good in a way because it makes you take a good look at all the things that are affecting your business, day to day.
Yeah, and I think that's what today's show is going to do. Is we're going to go underneath the hood and look at areas that you may not even considered in the past. Truth or delusion, one of the benefits of referral marketing is you have other people to blame. That's sometimes the cases where we're blaming someone or something else when really what's in our control is the thing that we have the most ability to change. So let's get started on what is a bad referral. If you're thinking about that right now, what's going through your head, I appreciate if you go into the chat box and maybe write down a couple of things that would qualify as a bad referral. Someone makes a recommendation and you're looking and saying, that's bad. And how bad was it? And to the second part of that is, what did it cost you? When you received that bad referral, was it a monetary cost? Was it a time cost? Was it an energy cost? While we're getting responses in, Eddie, what are some of the responses you've heard about what made a bad referral?
Usually it centers around, all I got was a business card, or all I got was a name, or they didn't know anything, or stuff like that is what I consider a bad, what I hear coming as a bad referral. Well, that person didn't have anything to do with what I was really looking for, stuff like that.
Yeah. I hear the same thing. It's they didn't even know who I am. They didn't understand anything of what I did. It's not the type of business that I handle. It's not even something I could help them with. Have been responses I've gotten to begin a bad referral. Okay, or in some cases, they weren't ready to buy, and that's a bad referral for me. I need people that are in the market, need what I have, want what I have, and we can move forward. So one of the things we're going to talk about today is what are all of the opportunities that exist in this environment of getting a bad referral, if we didn't just quickly dismiss it, what other opportunities can we find, okay, in looking at this experience of a bad referral? So whatever that is for you, whatever that bad referral, just keep it in your mind, put it in the chat box. We'd really love to see those responses. All right. And then as we go through all of these opportunities, see if this applies to your situation. So starting with, the first thing we want to do when receiving a bad referral is say, thank you. And it may not be the first thing that feels like it's going to come off our tongue. We may be thinking, what are you thinking? But the first response really should be thank you. And it should be thank you for thinking of me. You know, somebody did something, no matter what it was, they were thinking of me, okay, and they thought that this would be a way of helping me. Again, whether it turns into an opportunity or not, somebody was thinking about me. And let's face it, the more we can have other people thinking about us, the more likely we are to have more opportunities coming our way. Eddie, any other suggestions on what the first response should be?
Right. There is nothing bad at all about getting a business card or a lead or type thing about, I saw a business going up. Okay. Actually, that's a good indicator for me that somebody's interested. And man, if I had to pick one quality about people I wanted to get referrals from over all else, would be that they want to, Mm-hmm. It's that whole thing about attitude. I could train the rest. That's it. That's an indicator right there. They're trying something,
Yeah, the biggest challenge in word of mouth marketing is to get other people to think about us at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With everything else they have going on in their brain. So it's certainly a good first step that somebody was thinking about us. And the next best step is to tell them, thank you for thinking about me.
Yeah, exactly.
And then as we go into opportunities, here's the first level of opportunity. It's an opportunity to educate the referral source. And, we could probably spend the rest of this show just talking about that. How did you come across this opportunity? What did they say? Okay. How did you feel that I could best be supporting or helping them? How well do you know this prospect? If it's a very cold lead, you might ask, is there a relationship you have with that you might be able to warm it up, possibly make an introduction? Okay, so there's all kinds of opportunities we can look at, ways to either enhance this bad referral, okay, or make them better in the future. Eddie, any comments on educating the referral sources?
Yeah, and then another question would be to immediately first think about what am I really expecting from this person? And if it's somebody I've known a long time and I get something that seems a little off, I would say, well, I guess what's not clear? I'd have to look at myself and say, what can I do to make this more clear? Or I'd have to evaluate and say, well, maybe that's as good as that person is going to do with the type of business that I'm looking for. That might be as much influence or as much access as they have. So again, it goes to evaluating something in your business based on several factors: relationship, access, influence, those types of things. So yeah, it's good. Those moments were good for a good inner look.
I recently had an experience where somebody that I have a relationship with referred me. However, it wasn't a referral for me to do more business or get business or to get the type of clients I want. He referred me, and it was kind of cold, and it was actually an opportunity for them to pitch me. And again, it still comes back to an opportunity to go back and say, tell me what you had in mind here, because the process here didn't feel like a true recommendation. It actually felt more like an ambush. How could we do this differently in the future?
Yeah, and if you were to examine that, for a lot of the ones that I've seen, would be, people ask for an introduction and say, I know him. Okay. Introduce him to me next week. Okay, I will. And what did you introduce him to? Introduce him to a cold call. That's what you did. It's like, okay, you're sitting there, but you're still going to pitch somebody based on a simple introduction without doing the necessary discovery work to find out how it's best going to work. So again, that would turn what could have been a good referral technically turned out to be a bad one, because at the appointment, it just blew up. So again, it makes you take a good look at everything.
I sometimes get people that are recommended, and it's like, what in my message is telling people that I want that? Okay, or are they just assuming they know the business well enough? And again, the door just got opened to have me better educate them as the type of work we do and the type of introductions we're looking for.
Yeah, I agree. It's just lots of opportunities in that particular thing right there.
Next opportunity is to learn how to say no, thank you. And I mean that on a couple of levels. For example, when somebody is passing me a lead, or they want to refer me something that is just not something I do, first I want to say thank you, but I also have to be comfortable to say, that's really not something that I participate in. That's really not something that I do. That's really not something I want to pursue. Okay? And to be able to say no, thank you. The other side of that is also when we have contact with the prospect and we're talking with them and we find out what they're looking for and how they want to do business is really not what we want. And to let the prospect know, well, I appreciate you contacting me. I love talking with you, and I don't think this is a good fit for the two of us. For some reason, I don't know why this is, but it seems like recently I've been talking to business owners, and they got this mindset that they have to take it all, or they have a responsibility to do business with anybody that comes through the door or gets on the phone. You see what I'm saying there, Eddie?
Yeah, and again, so the question being, kind of in a way, what led you to believe this was something, like, how did you see this referral and think that it was good for me? And how did you do that? And you probably find out that they were either misinformed about what it is that you need somehow, misunderstood something, or just trying to do something good, and just grasped one out of the air and did it, so you probably find out, you find out exactly how it happened, which is important. Because again, that want-to factor, if they really want to, then let's teach them what we really want, And then there's also another opportunity here, I guess, if that's somebody they're close to and has referred them, or just by miscommunication did it that way, then we'll be like, all right, well, I don't see that really as being real good for me. Is there anything that maybe that would help you with that person? So if I was to go sit down for an appointment or something like that, it would be with the idea of referring that person back to the same person, customer that it is. That often happens. They'll refer a customer to you. So I kind of examine all the angles, but mostly it'd be about, all right, how did you come to the conclusion that that was good for me, and what do I have to straighten out so we get it right?
Yeah, I welcome every opportunity, but I welcome it because I'm in a position where to say, this is something I would like to do, or this is something I don't want to do.
Yeah.
And if that's the case for you, and I guess that's really why I have such an openness to taking, anytime someone wants to recommend me, and a lot of people around me always want to make it, the perfect referral. They want the ideal referrals. It's like, look, what does it cost me to talk to anybody that wants to talk to me about my business? Going to cost me a little bit of time, and so at the end, we should be able to quickly determine on their side or on my side whether this is going to be a good fit. And so I'm very open to taking really any type of referrals, again, including leads. And we're going to talk a little bit about again, even opportunities there. So the next thing we're going to talk about is refining your referral receiving process so you can quickly qualify the prospect. And that's what I'm kind of talking about when I get these leads. The lead may be something I just come back and say, hey, listen, I think this might be an opportunity too. What's your expectations of me with this lead? And they maybe say, I want you to call them and tell them what we do. And I'm like, hey, I appreciate you. Do you mind if I just sit on this one right now? And the reason I'm saying that is because this could be a good opportunity, but I might have to go into maybe someone else in my network that knows them at a level we might be able to get a better introduction, or maybe have them better informed of what we're all about. And again, it's about, you know, managing the expectations of something I'm not sure I want, or maybe I don't even think I want. But here's where the catch can come in. Is if I don't have a defined referral receiving process, I can spend a whole lot of time with prospects that are not qualified. Because I don't have specific qualifying questions in place. I don't have enough information. And what I end up doing is being at the mercy of the prospect of trying to give them everything they want, not even understanding what the need is.
Yeah, and there's an extra layer of obligation there because the referral source is wanting you to do these things as well. And so you got the prospect and you got the referral source to nurture in that thing. So having your referral receiving process, which by the way is pretty seamless. It's not as complicated as it might sound. But basically, I think you need to know two things in there: was what shade of the 10 shades of referral you got, and how to move it up to the next 2 or 3 and see where it goes. And also understanding what your sales cycle looks like, and realize a referral doesn't have to be somebody who's ready to buy right now. A referral could be somebody who's just getting on the list, because people move through stages of being ready to buy. It's not often that they walk in right on an impulse and buy. Certainly it happens. But the idea is sometimes they got to go through 3 or 4 phases of increasing their awareness, identifying the need, sitting around looking at options, and then buying. So might one of those, quote, bad referrals just be to a place that's lower in the in the beginning of the sales process. So understanding what your sales steps or sales process is, I think, is a big piece of that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you really start to break it down, most businesses can qualify or disqualify a prospect in sometimes as little as 5 minutes. There's just basic stuff I need to know. Starting with where you're located. That's kind of important one for me. What's the most valuable thing you'd like to get out of this conversation that we're having? And I want to ask you, maybe you want to write that one down when you're starting the receiving process, when you're starting a sales conversation, to ask the person, what's the most important thing you'd like to get out of our conversation today? If they say, for example, I want to know the price. Okay, if price is the most important thing to them, that may disqualify them right there. You're not the lowest cost provider. All right, and you can continue the conversation because I have to tell you, if price is the most important thing to you right now, I'm not sure I would be the best person for you, because I don't tend to be the lowest cost provider. If that's what you're looking for, maybe I can give you some recommendations. Now I just had a qualifying process that didn't last 2 minutes.
I don't know where that's
going.
It's mine, sorry.
No.
That's the technology guys showing up there.
Shutting it down.
All right, let's look at another opportunity we have. And that would be to increase the pipeline so you can be more selective. And what I'm really trying to say here is, when I've seen people get what I consider a little bit maybe overly upset with the bad referral, it's also in an environment where there's not enough prospects in the pipeline. So there's almost an over dependency on that one being a good one and turning into business. See, when you get lots of activities with prospects, you got 2 things that are going on. First of all, you're not relying on that 1 or that 2, to make payroll. Okay, starting with that, there's no desperation around it. And the second great advantage there is when you have enough prospects that are coming into the pipeline, you can be selective in saying that one. That's a good one for me. Okay, these here I may want to recommend to somebody else, but you can stop picking the higher quality. This was actually confirmed in a study that was done with a freelance consulting study where they measured freelance consultants, and here's one connection that's very obvious. Those that marketed more relentlessly, invested more time and money into their marketing, had more business. No surprise. But what I found even more interesting is the people that were marketing more intensely not only got more business, but they charged more. They charged more. Now think about that for a second. Why would they be charging more? Right back to what we're talking about here. They could be selective in taking the business they wanted, with the others that were very stingy with their marketing time and money, okay, had very few opportunities and basically needed to take anything that came their way. In some cases, even taking business, not only they didn't want, that wasn't even profitable, okay, just to keep the business coming in. So again, you want to check your environment. What does it look like under the hood? Are there ample opportunities that are coming into your business? And within those ample amount of opportunities, can you be selecting the ones that you want to do business with? Ready?
Yeah. And what comes to mind for me with that is if you're closing, 80, 90, quote 100%, I hear sometimes of the referrals that are coming to you, well, your pipeline's too small.
Uh-huh.
Because that's not what should happen, right? And if you've done that, then you've made it so selective that you've warded off any leads that would have been nurtured to later. And that's what a big pipeline is about. Some will fall out. Some take a long time to buy, and that's okay. So you got to find a way to nurture them. But, so when you get these quote bad referrals and they just happen to be of the shades of 1 to 10 referrals, a little lower on the list, then they're just further up in the pipeline, so to speak, and could eventually come out. And so if you're closing pretty much everything that somebody brings to you, then that's nice. Don't stop that. But it's probably a good chance that your lead generation is not strong enough. That would be something I'd be looking for, or you don't have a place for that group to buy. But they're just not like some kind of introductory thing that they could get engaged in. So it might be the product mix is not full enough.
I heard one of the things you were saying here, Eddie, about, I close 100% of my referrals. And that's a red flag to me.
Yeah.
If I was closing 100% of my referrals and I was getting 2 opportunities a week, for example, that's great. And I would be much happier only closing 30% of my referrals and getting 10 a week.
Yeah. Right.
Because what do those 7 no's just create for me? A 50% increase in business.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to run away from the no's. When we look at the opportunities, they're all opportunities. Even the no's have a value.
Yeah, and by the way, even if you got one, for example, totally was not going to work no matter what, what you learn about that person or company, what you could do with that, either referring it to somebody else, helping them get help where they need it, and becoming the center of that hub. I mean, when people shove people your way, it's an opportunity. And I'm not sitting here saying, representing you, that you can deal with all of them, but it's probably a bigger opportunity than you might think before just dismissing,
Well, Eddie, I think about our business. How many times over the years have we been talking with somebody about a franchise opportunity, okay, around the world, clearly not a qualified prospect, clearly not someone we're going to be able to do business with, could still be friends, can still like them, and then months later they come back to us and they're recommending somebody else to us.
Yeah.
These bad referrals or unqualified prospects, and so many times, I mean, I can't even be to name all the times that is exactly what happened. Okay, and talking to somebody that wasn't a good prospect, in turn, opened the door for somebody that was.
Well, and then on top of that, we've had ones that weren't good prospects because we need our master franchises to be able to speak English, where we've had to actually nurture them for 2 years and stay engaged while they learned English.
Uh-huh.
So, that sales cycle usually got a little longer there, but, obviously we're talking about, instances of things that happen, but, if you get, the idea is to get a number of leads. I mean, that's the thing that funnel down to the right number of dropout sales there. So, and leads will come from referrals, ads, signs, all of those things, all of those together. So if you look just at the referral piece of it, you want a bunch of leads coming in.
Yeah, that's right. And not only those people that we service, but sometimes even in our own organization, people will be getting prospects or leads, and they're like, "What am I supposed to do with this?" Say hello.
Yeah, I know.
Because of the source of the way it came in, it's a low probability moving forward. Okay, and some do.
Yeah.
I was working with a gentleman in the entertainment business, and he would have as many as 8 or 10 DJs out on the town on a Saturday night doing different gigs. He also did the video work. He had a pretty healthy entertainment business, and he had a very good referral system. He had some good venue contacts that almost used him exclusively, right? And he also did online marketing. And when I asked him, I said, "What's the biggest challenge you have in your business?" He goes, "I got to tell you," he goes, "I just can't stand it when these people are contacting me, okay, and they want to price shop me against some guy that does DJing on the weekend, part-time for $65 a gig." He goes, "I can't afford to do that business." He goes, we need to start at like 400 or 500, and I'm getting price shopped against somebody that's on Craigslist for 65. I said, "All right, so let's talk about that. Where's all that coming from?" He says, "Well, it's mostly my online marketing, my Yelp ads." He's showing all the different ways that he was marketing. I said, "Great." I said, "Do any of those turn into good deals?" He goes, "Oh yeah. He goes, not a lot of them, but it could be 10%. I said, "Well, we don't want to turn that off, do we?" He goes, No, I just don't like going back and forth with them.
Well, right. Which again, see right there, that is now we're starting to identify other things in the business, because if you're stressed for time to deal with leads, then we have kind of a capacity thing going on, right? So these types of things bring up a lot of stuff. I know you don't like dealing with stuff that's out,
This was coming right back to our previous conversation, which is referral receiving process. Now, there were two things that I knew. I knew he hated negotiating on rate and try to justify why he's significantly more expensive than everyone else. But he also shared with me that when he gets an opportunity to sit down with somebody, or at least have them on the phone, to do a true consultation of what they're trying to get out of their event, what type of event they're trying to hold, what are all the needs that they have. And he wouldn't say that. He goes, "I don't want to say this, but I'm pretty much 100%. I don't ever want to say I'm 100%, but almost everybody, okay, ends up going with my company if I have a conversation with them." We had to make one tweak. Actually, there's 2 tweaks. The first tweak is we don't negotiate by email. Right? Step number 1, we're not going to negotiate by email. Step number 2 is when we get those leads in, we invite them to have a conversation. Even if they lead with, "What is your rate?" Our response would be, "I don't know. I would really need to know exactly what type of event you're trying to put on. Okay, would you be willing to have a phone call?" Now, if they weren't willing to have a phone call and have that dialogue, they simply got put aside. And those that were willing to have a phone call were going to be good prospects and most likely good deals.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's look at another opportunity we have. Discover the sales mindset issues that are adding energy to the problem. And what I'm really talking about here is the notion of sales phobia. Let's face it, most of us, not all, but most of us got into business because we just love what we do. Okay, I love the work that we do in Ascentive. Right? Most people that we work with are extremely passionate about their trade. Didn't necessarily get into the business because I really feel like going out there and doing the sales of the business. And without it, of course, we don't have a business. So one of the self-reflections we want to look for here is there a sales mindset, okay, or something in sales that's making us uncomfortable, so that when these prospects are coming to us, the sales process that's causing discomfort in that this company is adding energy to us, looking at it as a bad referral, okay, or someone that's not going to buy. Eddie, you think some other mindset issues around sales that add energy?
No, the sales is definitely one of them. I think we kind of jokingly call it the elitism without, I don't know, that type of prospect, or that referral's too low for me kind of thing. It really comes from not understanding the buyer's process, which is most important, by the way, not your selling process. How do buyers buy?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just being closed mindset to the idea of finding different ways to help people say yes. I think would be one of the things. Like, I've got one way I do it. You were just saying, I know that when I sit down and have a conversation, I close it. Well, of course, that's the last step in the process, right? They're at an evaluate stage at that point, but it'd be an open mindset to setting up things that are easier for people to refer to and working from that stage forward. For example, rather than have the person sit down one-to-one for a conversation, we all want that one. Well, how can I engage that person much earlier, through a casual introduction or whatever, and then open you up. So the fixed mindset being, I'm only going to do it this way, and the open, the growth mindset piece of it being, I'm going to add some capacity to this thing by opening up some doors that will lead me to the same people. Just they'll take a little longer to come through the process.
Eddie, we got a lead in yesterday from a gentleman, and he wanted to know more about Ascentive. He came through the website, and so I reached out to him and said, hey, can you give me a little bit of information, where you're located, what are you looking for, how do you think we can support you? And he had a really nice response, and hey, thanks so much, and it was very cordial and very polite. And he says, before I have a phone call with you, maybe I want to brush up on my English a little bit. He's from Italy. And I again, it was just engaging a conversation. Is this guy going to be doing business with us? I don't know. I got to believe at this point, he's just seen something that was interesting. He's very early in his buying process. Right?
Yeah.
And simply responding to him is, hey, listen, man, you don't have to brush up on your English. What if I have someone call you that speaks Italian?
Yeah, right. But then again, the mindset we would be dealing with there would people say, that stuff doesn't do me any good. I don't get anything from that. I don't do that. I don't know. If you had some history to say, yeah, but open up that there are lots of ways to get people into the funnel. And we probably are only, including us, by the way, we found out a lot of new ways because we were convinced all that website stuff was a bunch of caca, years ago. And now you wouldn't think of doing it without it. So, open it up to the different ways in the pipeline.
Yeah, it's very likely in today's day and age that people, when they're looking at your service, particularly professional services, that they haven't already checked you out.
Yeah, and I think one of the mindset would be that gets energy around it is that person gave me a bad referral, or whatever. It's that when they say that person, and they kind of put it off on that mindset that, people don't want to, or I'm not going to get the right thing. They don't understand what I'm doing, whatever. We tend to make, the mindset is there. They make up a lot of stories without having the actual facts that go behind it. Because there are people that will be of no use to your referral program. Absolutely. But find out, where they actually can play and what they are capable of doing. That will take some of the energy out. That way, when you get something, quote, low level or bad, you'll realize that, well, they're not well placed to give you what you really want anyway. So if getting leads from them is part of the deal, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. We're good. But you gotta figure that part out first.
Yeah. I used the term sales phobia before, and again, it's just simply the fear of sales. And sometimes the fear of sales is the fear of rejection.
Yeah.
No. Now, that's no joke.
No.
There are people that put a whole lot of energy to make sure they don't get into that circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, what they're hoping and wishing for is that the referral is going to take care of that. That when I get referred, I don't have to sell because it'll sell itself, or the referral sold it.
Well, it's a mindset and a delusion.
And if we could just become aware of that, we say, okay, so what are some of the things that I can build on what the things that I can build on so that I am more comfortable. And I don't just love sales because I like being in that environment, but I've become comfortable with it because I have a process. I know questions that are going to be asked. Okay, and as long as I'm honoring them and asking the questions, I'm comfortable in that sales process. And I'm also comfortable that we're not for everybody. Not everybody's for us.
Yep.
And of course, it did come with professional coaching and professional training. That's where those skill sets got developed, because I still don't like rejection, and I can still have a conversation with somebody about business. All right, next one is, okay, could we refer the solution, a better solution, to the person's need? And that really goes to that, the recommendation that comes in. It's like, that's not what I do, or that's not what I want. Okay. And if we're listening carefully to that prospect, they're usually telling us what they need or what they want. As a matter of fact, our questioning should absolutely be revealing what they need or what they want. I use the example of, I'm looking for the cheapest way to go. All right, that's great. That's not me. Okay, are there people that I know that would do that? Okay, or if it's a service that we don't provide. Mike, I just thought you'd be good at this. You might be right, but that's not the line of work I want to be in. So there's an opportunity for me to find somebody else that is.
Particularly when you think about it in the context of referrals. Somebody gave you this lead or referral, and you've gotten to that stage, and the person still gets a solution, even if it's not you. Well, now the referral source, the one that gave you the referral, is happy because that person is taken care of. The person who got the service done in the way that's best for them, they're happy. And, and by the way, I should be happy, because that's part of my hub or circle of referral life, so to speak, that I'm going to have to participate in. I'm not always going to be the best solution. So having other solutions that would work that aren't me, make sure I take care of all the people that come into my circle. So I think that's an important piece of it.
Yeah, it just reminded me of a couple of years ago, Eddie, when I got a referral and I was asked to speak at an event in South Africa, and although it was it was a good gig, it was going to be make some money on the deal. I mean, all of that seemed to work, but my calendar was a little bit tight then, and it was right on the cusp of us holding our conference here in the United States. And I'm like, all right, so I can say no, or I can find another solution. And that's when I called you and said, Eddie, what do you think about going to South Africa and doing a few gigs down there, and get to travel, get to enjoy yourself, make some money, and see what opportunities exist. And you were like, I'm in.
Yeah, it was good. My safari was great, by the way.
Yeah.
It was funny because obviously I had to go to the same conference, and flying in from Johannesburg to San Francisco and then going to conference the next day was a bit of a torture. But I didn't have any pre-conference work like you did, so that made it possible. But it was being able to service all the needs and score some points with people in scorecard context. So it's great.
Yeah, I remember looking at that opportunity and saying, if I had literally weeks around that, I would have pulled the trigger, and my wife and I would have been able to go on our dream vacation, before or after.
Oh yeah.
Speaking, it would have been a dream trip. And
as much as she likes the big cats, I'd have had to fist fight her in the street not to go on that one,
Yeah. Yep, gotta agree.
Well, look, we're at the end. Getting at the end here. Nanette, do we have any questions?
So, I don't know if we really have a question. I think it's more about a solution. And Debbie Whirl and I have been chatting back and forth here, and I'll just read all of these so people can keep up with what was going on. Debbie first wrote, "Oops are for topics that are political hot buttons. I still find someone who will address the issue from a deeply humanitarian aspect." And I wrote, I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. And she wrote, one recently was someone who was angry about the current EPA efforts to undermine the clean air and water laws we have. I found someone who could speak about the rationale for these laws and then spent the rest of the hour on how using solar panels, windmills, filtering the tap water, cleaning out air in our homes. This addressed their frustrations and gave solutions we each can do at home or in work. And then she said, I guess what I'm saying is that there's so many people that are so angry about so much stuff today, the world, and no one in the world, that no one wants to offer a solution to issues. I'm a nurse and listen intently before responding with anger. Find a solution that will settle the dust, like I was taught as a child.
Okay. Let me take that if I can, in a bit of a bigger context. So what I'm hearing there is, based on the whole referral thing we've been talking about today, is there was a need based on a hot button. People weren't happy about a certain situation. That could be about anything. They're either in need of a solution. I used to do this with groups a lot. That's why I'm kind of picking up on this one. I do this with groups a lot. And they would have it commonly, would all have a need or something. So I would have to have somebody, I would arrange for somebody to come speak to that group. Now, in the referral context, that person I had come speak, I referred him a speaking engagement to put him in front of the audience that would have the need or at least the interest in whatever he had. Okay. Now, the guy, as described here, came in and talked about the problem and then had a solution that apparently he also sold. So that's a delicate spot, because if you're having people come in to listen on an issue, and as a person who's got expertise in it, the delicateness comes in from him not only telling the solution, but selling the solution. And there could be a kind of a conflict of interest there. Handled well, it's great. No problem. And that absolutely is a way to do several things at one time. It's a way to score points. I say points. When I say score points, is increase my relationship with the group that has the angst. The person I referred, if he's in my circle that I refer, I've increased my relationship with him because I've given him an opportunity, which, by the way, was something we were talking about earlier. If you get a bad referral, it might be because you don't have easier opportunities to be referred, like this, for example, where you just get in front of a group as opposed to having to want to sit down immediately and talk about putting solar panels on the house. So he's got an easier way to do that, my example here. So when they do finally speak to the group, if he does it with integrity and puts it out there and they know he's a solution and he has conscientiously or compassionately given them away, they can get his services or buy from him eventually. Perfect. The trouble comes in when you do it that way. If somebody is not skilled at that, then they beat the group up about buying their solution, and you got a big double whammy loss. And we've seen those, obviously. But that's what I'm saying. I'm taking our thing there about a hot button into a bigger context. It could apply to anything. A need, a hot button, or something that group has an interest in. Getting a person to come there, address it, and if they have a solution that they can offer out, fine. As long as they do it in a fashion that's respectful of how it was done, it's a great referral process, actually, and a great outcome for everybody. And by the way, that would take, some strategy between you and the person you referred that was going to address the group, about how the group is feeling, what their hot buttons are, needs, all that stuff. It wouldn't be done off the cuff. You know about that. Why don't you go talk to them? That wouldn't be the way to do it. But I hope that answered our question. It's an appropriate and actually a very good referral.
Yes.
I'd really love to speak to a group when they had the most need or the most energy to have the need. So.
Well, to wrap up this conversation on bad referrals, I think a lot of the tone has been, when you receive a bad referral, really, how bad is it? And we're putting weight on it that's not necessary. And what are all of the opportunities of business, making it better, referring to other people? With all that said, I do believe there is a thing such as a bad referral. And for me, the bad referral is when I'm providing a referral. And that's when I'm giving a referral. And why would that be bad? For example, if I were to recommend somebody and they were a low quality provider, that would damage the relationship with the person I'm trying to help and recommending. So we want to make sure that we're referring to people that are going to protect and enhance our relationship. Okay? And at the same time, I've also not referred people that had a need. I knew people can solve the need because they're just difficult to deal with. And I don't want any of my relationships to have to deal with difficult people. There's a guy in my head I'm thinking right now, he's phenomenal in so many ways, but he is a pain in the butt if you're going to take him on as a client. And so I know that's a bad referral. So I'm not going to make those recommendations. So I think when we think about bad referrals, I think the most important thing for me is we have to be thinking about when I'm initiating those introductions, when I'm making those opportunities, am I taking the best providers? Am I recommending people that would truly you would want to do business with? Or at least permission to work with somebody that's difficult.
Yeah, man. Yeah, exactly. Just warn me ahead of time. But
well, then that will turn the show back over to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. This was really awesome. Bad referrals. I think part of the bottom line to this is that there really are no bad referrals. Well, Mike just said there were a few. However, it's really about taking those referrals and looking at yourself and not getting frustrated, but saying, how can I turn this, what I think is a negative, into a really good positive? And I think there are many different ways you can do it. You just have to have the patience and you have to have the willingness to actually do it. Because as that last slide just said, is when does a bad referral really cost you? A bad referral, let's hope it never costs you. Let's hope it actually earns you money because you've turned it into something that is great. Whether you were able to turn it into a referral for yourself or maybe a referral for a person that could be a great referral partner for you that's not doing what you do or doing something similar but not at the level that you're doing it. So there are many ways to think about this. So Mike and Eddie, this was awesome today. Thank you very much. We are near the end of the show. We usually call this the backstage and say if you'd like to have a few minutes to ask us any question you'd like to ask us, this would be a great time to get that into the chat box. We'll give you a few minutes here to do that. Next month, I don't really have a topic just yet because Mike and Eddie and I have not really spoken about that. I'll tell you what I'm thinking, but Mike, did you have a topic? Because I had already spoken to Eddie.
Yeah, I'm going to do the suggestion that our audience has sent us.
That's what we're going to do. So what we're going to do this month is Mike, Eddie, and I are going to turn the show over to you, not literally, but figuratively, because we have been collecting data from you since the show started. And there are questions and topics that you want us to hit. So this month, we're going to take some time and we're going to go through those and we're going to hit a few of those. And we might even be contacting those people who sent them in so they can be on the show here with us next month. So if you want, please send us any information or any questions you have. We may add you in, but that's what we really want to do is start tackling some of the issues that you are telling us you're having in your business so we can help you make your business better. So that's what we're going to do next month. I don't see anybody putting anything into the chat box. Mike, Eddie, any last words?
No, great to be here. Look forward to next time.
Awesome. Everyone out there,
Thank you.
have a great month. Go forth and prosper and do great things, because we here at Ascentive, we just want you to have an amazing business and a spectacular life. See you all next month.